Coming up, Bourbon County officials gather to determine the future of the Old Mercy Hospital building. Thunderstorms and tornado warnings all in effect right now throughout the 4 states. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center. And Missouri Southern hosts an event to talk about new programs and activities on their way to campus.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to the Koam Morning News where it's 5 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. We immediately start with the Skywatch Storm Tracker coming off of our thunderstorms from last night. Is going to last all through the morning as well. Extreme heavy rain along and south of I-44, especially through portions of Ottawa County, Oklahoma and Newton County, Missouri. And then we've got that fine line of lightning stretching from northwest Arkansas across the state line up through southwest Missouri, ending just about on I-44. Here's a look currently what we're looking at watches and warnings wise. Going to duck down here to the south where you see those counties indicated in yellow. That is a tornado watch, and that is in effect for the next 2 hours. So once again, those counties in yellow in effect for the next 2 hours. Now, just recently, we actually had a tornado warning that was in effect for northwest Arkansas. That was allowed to expire at 5 a.m. So just a matter of minutes ago, we were able to take that thing off the board. Let's go back to the radar, talk about what we can expect here for the morning because it continues to track in from the south. That line of thunderstorms right now lasting from south central Texas, running up through the Red River and making its way right through us. So our accumulation numbers will continue to grow. At the current moment, we are able to escape any flood warnings. That, of course, is subject to change as we progress through our Wednesday. Off to the east and off to the west, indicated in tan, those are wind advisories. So the wind is shifting and the temperatures dropping as well. I want to give you an idea about what we've got right now at 7th and Range Line. Go back, look at the rain coming down sideways there at the intersection that you can pick up in the street light. Our temperatures aren't too bad, still sitting at 62 degrees. Look at that last wind gust recorded at Joplin Regional Airport. 31 miles per hour. Now, as far as our temperatures go, we're seeing it begin to cool off a little bit to the northwest. 56 right now in Yates Center compared to the low 60s that we have just about everywhere else. But remember, the temperatures are going to drop as we progress through today because the cold front kind of comes on the backside of this storm system. So as it moves to the northeast, there's that line that stretches from Texas to the Great Lakes. As it continues to progress to the northeast, it allows those cooler temperatures to begin to work in to the tune where, yeah, we're just absolutely going to fall down. It's going to be wet and it's going to be chilly for this afternoon as well as our temperatures back down into the 40s. And that rain, well, in some form or fashion, watch this thing just want to stick around all day long. Now, as we get into the later morning and early afternoon hours, it does begin to taper off as far as the intensity goes, but doesn't really clear off until we get to tonight. All that snow, don't worry about it. It'll stay up to the far north, but once again, let's plan on some flooding because we are a long way from being done with this. Of course, any other warnings or watches that pop up, we will break into the KOM Morning News immediately and bring you those. On Tuesday, Bourbon County commissioners met with Noble Health to discuss a feasibility study as they consider the future of the Old Mercy Hospital building that closed in 2018. Noble representatives presented a summary of key findings from their hospital feasibility study, although the study, they say, is not finished. The building currently belongs to the county. Now, once that study is finished, the county will have a better understanding of the cost to operate it. In Missouri, 2 Noble hospitals have ceased all operations. Noble Health was not available for comment after the meeting.
Well, there is no relation to Kansas. What's going on in Missouri is happening in Missouri. That's a completely different hospital system, a completely different issue. Has nothing to do with what's going on in Kansas and vice versa.
That study is expected to be completed in 4 to 6 weeks. A dispatch department gets a well-deserved makeover. It's in Newton County, Missouri. The dispatch department says new improvements should provide more reliable 911 response. Dispatchers now have new consoles with more space, replaced an old landline system that was prone to break down, and also adding another member to the dispatch team.
The 911 service that we're receiving is top-notch. We have better communications now with between dispatch and our officers, and better communications between the other agencies. So it's a great benefit.
The Newton County dispatch improvements funded by the public safety tax that was passed in August of 2020. Mark your calendars because local elections just 1 week away, and that will include several tax issues like school bonds. The Southwest R5 School District in Berry County, Missouri, asking voters to approve a bond worth $2 million. The bond would fund construction of a trap shooting range and a baseball and softball field, complete with a press box, restrooms, and concession stand.
Our students at Southwest, although they've been used to and they are pleased and very proud of what facilities we have, they deserve to have the nicest facilities that we can provide for them.
Now, if approved, the district's current debt service levy would stay at the current rate. Oklahoma will have its own ballot issues to vote upon. Quapaw, Oklahoma School District asking voters to approve a bond as well. This one worth a little more than $3.5 million. It would fund a roof replacement and construction of a safe room for the elementary school, restroom renovations for the middle school, and add bleachers to the main gymnasium. If approved, it would raise property taxes. On Tuesday, Missouri Southern faculty and staff hosted a MOSO Connect event. This is a chance for university employees to get together, eat some lunch together, and learn about some new programs and activities on their way to campus. Yesterday's event focused on recreational services offered by the school. Students from the eSports Club provided a gaming demonstration.
Enter some tournaments, maybe win some money for the college and the group. So it's something that kids are already doing. Why would we not have a place here for them to do it on campus? Another way to connect with them on campus and help them be more successful.
Southern officials say the eSports program ramps up in mid to late April. A Kansas-based group made the trip across state lines to Joplin. It was part of a listening tour. It's the Kansas Leadership Center, a nonprofit organization that helps communities build leadership skills. On Tuesday, they discussed building healthy entrepreneurial ecosystems and improving civic engagement.
It's a listening tour from about 22 communities so that we can gather information, do a lot of listening, a lot of learning, and then take that to the next phase.
Group is traveling to Missouri, Iowa, and Nebraska to talk with residents as part of the Heartland Together tour. It's a tour that lasts up until April the 5th. Healthcare workers have been pulling long hours for the last 2 years due to the pandemic. And today, take a moment to say thanks because today happens to be National Doctors Day. It's an observance that's been around since 1933. Of course, doctors are critical every day, every year, and have been even pre-pandemic. Keep us well, cure those diseases, and let your personal doctor know how much you appreciate their service by posting to social media, sending a card, or even surprising a hospital staff with some goodies. Let's check out our weather trend, then we'll be back to the radar here. Remember, our temperatures are going to continue to fall, but the key factor is also, too, the amount of rain that we're picking up and still of what is to come on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, because we've got extreme heavy rain that's working its way in from the south, fair amount of lightning ranging from northwest Arkansas into southwest Missouri. The heaviest rain just along and south of I-44 in particular. We're seeing the majority of the rain. We got this band sitting out here. It's trying to push out to the east of our highlighted counties, make its way towards Springfield. And then specifically kind of for the south central portion, right in Ottawa County, Newton County, and a little bit of it clipping the far southeastern edge of Cherokee County, Kansas as well. Now we're just beginning to pick up those rain totals. So flooding is going to be a concern later this morning. As far as currently what we're looking at watch, warning, and advisory wise, we still do have those down to the south. You see that white one that's flashing right there? We're going to get a complete update on that here in a second. Our yellow counties are indicated in a tornado watch. Now, the one that's white and flashing, that is a brand new special weather statement that just came out, an indicator of a strong thunderstorm that's working its way through Madison and Carroll counties in northwest Arkansas. We'll go ahead and throw on the radar, give you an idea exactly where that storm system is moving right now. It's moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour, so it's actually going to track toward Branson. This is not only throwing down some strong isolated rain, but also wind gusts of 45 to 50 miles per hour, and also to even the chance for some hail. So that's a brand new weather statement that we'll keep our eyes on right there. Also remember, our temperatures will continue to drop through the course of our morning, taking us down to the 40s later on this afternoon. That is a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOM Morning News, Missouri Southern looking to even the series against Rogers State on the baseball field. And we're going to introduce you to a traveling barber, styling a big difference in the lives of some college students. Also, a new COVID-19 cases dipped to levels not seen in almost a year. Is the end on the horizon? You're watching the KOM Morning News. More real news in the morning as we'll be right back. Missouri Southern Lions at home last night hosting the Rogers State Hillcats. Second of a three-game set between the two teams this year. Lions looking to even the season series after an extra innings loss to the Hillcats 2 weeks ago. Cole Gaiman, he's a Webb City kid. Great start on the mound for the Lions. 4 shutout innings, also 4 strikeouts. And the story of the night, it was the 4th inning. Cole Robinson. Lions won into center. That scores Tommy Stevenson. And at that point, 9-0 Lions. Matt Miller, get up in that jet stream from yesterday. Oh, my goodness. 11-zip Missouri Southern. Same inning, still the 4th. They've already batted around. Miller, give me 2, please. And make it a 3-run shot this time. Miller goes 4 for 5. He didn't hit 1, he didn't hit 2. No, he hit 3 bombs. Drove in 8 runs. Southern scored 13 in the 4th. Lions pounded Rogers State. Look at that final score, 25-2. I guess his parking lot was empty after that, huh? After the 4th inning, everybody's like, we've seen it all. Let's all go home. Pitt State also at home facing Emporia State. Jet stream, I heard, was flying out at Al-Orlani as well. Gorillas have won 15 of their last 18, came in 13-3 in MIAA play, and win another one, 11-2. Caleb Carr, 2 for 2. He had 2 home runs and drove in 4 runs. Colgan Panthers are the defending 2A softball state champions as the Panthers open their season with a doubleheader sweep on the road against Liberal, Missouri. Panthers take the mound for the home opener last night. Colgan hosting Independence, doubleheader in Pittsburgh. Huge 2-out rally for Colgan in the first. Ava Wilson right back up the middle, RBI single at that point. 2-zip Colgan. Later in the inning, bases loaded for Ava Glover. Look at that. Got me into right center. Clears the bases. Triple for Glover. By the way, she can fly if you've never seen her on the base pass. 6-0. Very next pitch, Lauren Yagmore. Get you some, Yagmore. 2-run home run. Colgan scores 8 with 2 outs. Second inning, adding to the lead, Trinity Taylor. 3-run homer. All Colgan. Panthers beat Independence 15-5, the final. In Game 2, Colgan was looking for that sweep. They were down 2 going into the 7th and then rallied to win it 8-6. Lauren Flood, a walk-off 2-run single in the last inning. Panthers now 4-0 to begin the season. Fort Scott High School softball team hosted its annual varsity tournament. It's a one-day, 4-team tournament, kind of a unique setup with 4 games on the docket yesterday afternoon. Tigers on the field first up against Spring Hill, and Maggie McNally in the circle for Spring Hill, and she was feeling it. Strikes out the side to begin the game. We'll get more here from McNally in just a moment. In the bottom of the first, Broncos on the board, Vanessa Murray. She's got 2 runners on. Murray goes dead center. Up, and away. That thing had to go about 300 feet. 3-run jack for Murray. Fort Scott trails 3-0 after 1. Maggie McNally, 13 strikeouts in 5 innings of work. On the other side, Caden Farrell pitching for Fort Scott. Farrell with a strikeout of her own, but the Tigers did not score until the 5th as Maddie Cook will trot in from third. Not going to be enough, though. Spring Hill beats Fort Scott 14-1. Now, Spring Hill on to the championship game and would end up winning the tournament title over Ottawa. Fort Scott went to the 3rd place game and played Chanute. Blue Comets got 6 in the 4th inning and won it 13-5. Grace Thompson, she had 4 hits, drove in 5 runs. Baseball in Joplin, big one for the Eagles as they welcomed in the McDonald County Mustangs. Matt Coe, 6-1 to start the season. But it's Joplin that comes out the winner in this one, and final score 11-8. Still to come on the KOM Morning News, the United Kingdom detaining a nearly 200-foot super yacht belonging to a Russian businessman. And authorities say this thing was deliberately hidden. Try that with a 200-foot boat. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOM Morning News returns. Let's get down to it because we got a ways to go before this rain ends. Current look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker, and while we've got certainly showers coming down up to the north, we're really going to concentrate on that portion that's in the yellow and the red right there. We're going to remove our lightning tracker just to get an idea of that fine line that's working its way just east of our counties. That one that runs through Crane up to I-44. In between Newton, Jasper, we've got Cedar County on there. We've got a little bit of Berry County. Like I said, that's the rain that's coming down sideways right there. As our accumulation numbers continue to mount throughout the morning, and give you an idea of still so much more to come down from the south. And remember, we still do have tornado watches in effect. Tornado watches in effect for our counties in yellow, running throughout northeast Oklahoma and then into northwest Arkansas. We have been able to lift our tornado warnings, lifted those, but we still have the watches in effect. And those last all the way until 7 o'clock tonight, or this morning. Look at the storm system lasting all the way from Texas, and even as it pushes east, northeast, we got a ways to go before we are done. As well, that was going to be our tower cam there. You can see the rain coming down sideways over 7th and Rangeline right there. 62 degrees. The wind certainly hasn't died down, gusting at 31 miles per hour. We're seeing a little bit of a dip in the far northwest, 56 in Yates Center and 55 in Iola, compared to the low 60s just about every place else. But remember, as the system continues to come through, that cold air is going to replace it, and our temperatures are steadily going to drop. But more importantly, plan on some flooding in low-lying areas, a long way from being over, because the rain is going to stick around. Even though it lightens up as we get into the later morning hours, it is still going to stick around until this afternoon. Time now to turn our attention to the KOM News Now Instapoll and our Something to Talk About this morning. A college in Iowa is ensuring students of color who struggle to find a barber locally are able to get a proper haircut. It's a unique and free opportunity that's been available to students for more than a year. As Sarah Gannon shows us, it's all thanks to one traveling barber.
There's not very many different haircut spots available in town.
Decorah is a smaller community, and to find a barber experienced in cutting black hair,
Having a haircut always feels nice when you're competing, just to, I guess, look good, play good.
some students have to drive the hour and a half to Rochester.
I just love to see the smiles and, the things that I do. Like I say, it's, I had a lot of experiences, and I just want to give back in any way I can.
Luther College saw the need for students of color to have a proper haircut and have been working with Gil Jordan, a barber based in Rochester and Winona.
It's nice to get to talk to Uncle Gil. When they send us the appointments, we all we all try to get there as quick as possible. Everybody, we all text each other and let each other know what days he's coming.
Jordan makes the drive to Decorah every other Monday to provide these students free expert haircuts and a sense of community.
I just think it's needed. I think in communities as well, where people can get together and kind of be able to relate and stuff like that. It builds communities and builds people also.
Jordan says his chair also provides students with someone outside of school to talk about family, school, everything else in between.
So that's been my thing, to kind of give back. I haven't had the best life growing up and stuff like that, so I kind of know how it's needed, and especially I have a male figure to talk to.
Jordan hopes to keep offering haircuts for Luther students for years to come. He also makes trips to the University of Wisconsin Stout, where he performs that same service, and is trying to expand his work into other schools. That's a marvelous story right there. Our question for you this morning: how often do you get your hair cut? A couple ways to connect to us, either going straight to the poll, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, or via our Facebook page. Be back with Health Watch right after this. Topping Health Watch this morning, a new CDC study shows the COVID booster from Johnson & Johnson is effective at preventing hospitalizations. Agency previously advised people who received a J&J vaccine to get an mRNA booster from either Pfizer or Moderna. Now, the new study shows people who followed that advice saw 78% efficacy against being hospitalized. People who got a J&J booster had the 67% efficacy. A difference, the study says, is not statistically significant. Best protection comes from 3 mRNA shots. That's at 90%. Now, the difference is amplified for emergency room and urgent care visits. 2 J&J doses are just 54% effective against those, while a J&J dose followed by an mRNA booster is 79% effective. Best protection comes from 3 mRNA shots. That's 83% effectiveness at keeping people out of the emergency room and your doctor's office. New COVID-19 cases among kids in the U.S. fell to a level not seen since last July. A pediatrics group said Tuesday about 29,000 children tested positive last week. That's a 9% drop from the week before. Cases have been falling for the last 9 weeks in a row since the peak of more than 1.1 million cases hit the week of January the 20th. This decline not nearly as sharp as the week before. That's when there was a 23% drop. Kids made up more than 19% of all new cases last week, a slightly larger percentage from the week before. But this decline in cases among kids follows the trend for all ages in the U.S. Johns Hopkins University says the U.S. now averaging about 30,000 new cases per day. Microplastics are defined as small pieces of plastic waste, measuring in at less than 5 millimeters in length. And for decades, these tiny bits of debris have been a major concern for the world's ocean. You got millions of tons polluting the seas and then ending up on our coastlines and in the seafood we eat. But now new research has found this plastic waste has also made its way into your blood supply. Marianne Rafferty with the story.
Plastic is in pretty much everything, and now it could even be inside your bloodstream. That's according to researchers in Amsterdam, whose new study found microplastic particles in samples of human blood for the first time.
You should be concerned.
Previous work by the Worldwide Fund for Nature estimates people eat as much as a credit card's worth of plastic a week, ingesting the waste that's made its way into the food and drinking water we consume. But this new study, consisting of 22 participants, found at least 5 types of microplastics in 17 of their blood samples.
All the microplastics and nanoplastics we are exposed to, we inhale and we ingest.
The study suggests these microplastics are then absorbed into our blood. And while the levels found were very small, it's prompting questions about what effects plastics could have on our bodies.
Do they travel to certain organs? Do they accumulate there? Are they eliminated via the bile or the kidney?
Even though companies have begun transitioning away from using many harsh chemicals in their plastics, scientists say the second most common plastic found in the samples was polystyrene, which is used in many styrofoam products.
To avoid it, well, avoid microwaving food in plastic containers, keep your house well ventilated, and cover your food and drink. That prevents microplastics in the air from landing on them. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, Bourbon County officials gather to determine the future of the Old Mercy Hospital building. The rain continues to come down sideways in some places. We'll have the latest on our severe weather watches and warnings from the Skywatch Weather Center. And Missouri Southern hosts an event talking about new programs and activities on their way to campus.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. Find ourselves a little past 5:30. I'm Michael Hayslip. We're going to start with a look over 7th and Rangeline with that rain still coming down sideways right now as it just continues to pummel, especially southern portion of the 4 states. So look at the updated Skywatch storm tracker. Some of the heaviest bands of rain have actually pushed just to the east of our highlighted counties right now, running on a north-south line from Branson up to Springfield. We're still seeing some good pockets, whether it be there in Jasper County up by Carthage, Cassville, and Berry County just coming down like cats and dogs, and now starting to push into Ottawa County as well. And here's why. We've got a long way to go before this is over. Look at all that rain still down to the south. So flooding is going to be a main concern here. Lightning, as far as our highlighted counties in particular, it has kind of pushed off to the east right there, but lightning will remain a threat. Starting to taper off to the west and to the north. So the farther west and farther north you are, you're actually pretty much done for the morning. Central east portions, we got a long ways to go here. We do have a tornado watch in effect for Benton County, Arkansas. Tornado watch, in effect in yellow for Benton County, Arkansas. That lasts until 7 a.m. But the positive aspect of this is we were able to cancel the tornado watch that was in effect earlier for Nowata, Ottawa, and Delaware counties in northeast Oklahoma. So inch by inch, step by step, and minute by minute, we are looking just a little bit better as we get through our Wednesday morning. Give you an idea exactly where everything is coming from, since it really rolls out of Texas right there. We need that good easterly, northeasterly push for it to fully depart our area. Here we are over 7th and Rangeline. Earlier, you caught that glimpse of that in the street light right there. Wasn't even raining up and down. It was blowing in from the side with that 30-mile-an-hour wind gust that we were picking up. 62 degrees, starting to cool off a little bit to the northwest. Now we've seen Chanute dip below 60 as well. And that's our expected trend for today, as our temperatures will continue to drop. But really, I'm going to say flooding is still our major concern here, because we've got an inch and a half of rain still to go as it wants to linger until, say, early afternoon hours. It does lessen in intensity as we get closer to the evening. But look at that, overnight lows back down into the 30s for the next 2 nights. Joplin police are looking for a suspect who robbed the Eagle Stop convenience store at gunpoint. Happened 2 days ago, just after 10 p.m. when authorities say the suspect went up to the store employee, flashed a handgun, and demanded money from the register. Then the person ran. Now, no one was hurt in the incident. On Tuesday, Missouri Southern faculty and staff getting together for what's called a MOSO Connect event, a chance for university employees to gather around, have some lunch, and learn about new programs and activities on their way to campus. Tuesday's event focused on recreational services offered by the schools as students from the eSports Club gave an update and a gaming demonstration.
Enter some tournaments, maybe win some money for the college and the group. So it's something that kids are already doing. Why would we not have a place here for them to do it on campus? Another way to connect with them on campus and help them be more successful.
Officials say the esports program really ramps up in mid to late April. Discussions for bringing a hospital to Bourbon County, Kansas continue as Noble Health presents key findings of a feasibility study. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more on the study's findings and how the county says a hospital could impact the area.
Bourbon County has been looking for ways to bring affordable, quality health care to the area and say they believe a community hospital is the answer they're looking for. After Mercy Hospital closed in 2018, that building has been home to Ascension Via Christi and the Community Clinic of Southeast Kansas.
At the end of the day, this is about the people of Bourbon County receiving the best quality and affordable health care that we can provide for them.
Now, Noble Health is looking to move in, but first, the county says they want to make sure it's feasible to support a hospital in the first place. During Tuesday's county commissioner meeting, Tom Boozer from Noble Health presented a summary of key findings from their hospital feasibility study. Boozer said during his presentation that adding a hospital could impact the county's economy, but people would need to stay in order for that to happen.
Of course, with the hospital closed, there's migration. People have to go somewhere. Before it closed, it was very substantial migration. $11 million each year leaves Bourbon County for care outside this county. It must find a way to build the trust in the community and attract people back.
Drew Solomon, president of Noble Health Real Estate, said in the meeting that it was recommended for the hospital to move forward as a 501c3.
We believe very strongly that creating a tax-exempt entity, a 501c3 entity, to potentially house a building and all the other assets would be appropriate. As with a true 501c3, they can't be controlled by a for-profit entity.
The county's executive director for economic development explains that it would allow Southeast Kansas hospitals to work together.
In a 501c model, you're able to choose who you work with and where you send your patients, who you work with certain entities. Also, we'll be able to collaborate, and allows us to collaborate with different hospitals.
When asked about the concern surrounding Noble Health hospitals closing in Missouri, he says they have no part in that.
What's going on in Missouri is happening in Missouri. That's a completely different hospital system, a completely different issue. Has nothing to do with what's going on in Kansas and vice versa.
In Bourbon County, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Officials from Noble Health were unavailable for comment. Let's go to the Skywatch Storm Tracker, check out what we're in the midst of on our morning, give you an idea of that lightning. Is at least the lightning and the majority of the heavy rain are beginning to move off to the east right there. But even with that being said, we're a long way from being over, because everything is going to continue to move in from the south and kind of push to the east slash northeast right there. I'm going to throw on the precipitation accumulation that we've had so far, and you can tell that line just along and south of I-44 right there, that is pushing up to 1.3 inches, and then as we transition up to the north, it got spared a little bit there in the middle where it's about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch, but then in the far northern reaches, that's 1.5 inches of rain that's already been picked up. We still do have a tornado watch in effect indicated in yellow for Benton County in northwest Arkansas. We have been able to lift the additional watches that we had earlier for northeast Oklahoma. Rain sticks around through the later morning, early afternoon hours. Big factor as well to combo that. After the rain is done, then we're going to get a cold front that's going to drop in. Temperature is going to be down into the 30s here overnight. This morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, talking about getting a haircut. As some students at Luther College in Decorah, Iowa, say they have to make an 1.5-hour drive to city of Rochester to get a haircut. Now, Decorah, a smaller community, tough finding a barber experienced in cutting hair. Well, that's where Jordan Gill comes in. He makes the drive every other Monday, provides these students with free haircuts. How about that? Our question for you this morning, how often do you get your haircut? 2 weeks, once a month, 6 months, or been a while longer. Right now, 43% of you say do it every 6 months. Not bad. Twice a year, hard to beat. I always wonder sometimes when we do these questions. I guess I always wonder sometimes. I do wonder, though, a lot when we do these questions, how different this answer may have been 2.5 years ago, pre-pandemic. Obviously, it's a rhetorical question, but yeah, that does cross my mind. You can connect to us each and every morning, komnewsnow.com/vote. There it is right there, or via our Facebook page. That is a look at the top news stories and weather on the KOM Morning News. Now, coming up, an event that's being called the largest event in fishing history. Oh, I'm all about this action. It gets underway in Springfield. We're going to take a closer look at Bass Pro's 50th anniversary World's Fishing Fair. Plus, we'll meet some of the youngest Ukrainians to be displaced and how they're spending their time sending messages to the front line. You're watching the KOM Morning News. More real news in the morning. Be right back. Topping World Watch, the UK has detained a 192-foot super yacht belonging to an unnamed Russian businessman with ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Russian regime. British Transport Secretary Grant Shapps ordered the first ever detention of a super yacht in the UK under the government's Russian sanctions. He identified the ship as Phi in a statement on Tuesday. It's a Dutch-built vessel that's docked in the Canary Wharf and was planning to depart at midday yesterday, so the UK Department of Transportation said. Ownership of the boat was what it says deliberately well hidden. Sails under a Maltese flag. And the company the ship is registered to is based in the Caribbean island of St. Kitts and Nevis, first identified as being potentially Russian-owned in mid-March. In Lviv, volunteers host art therapy classes for the youngest of Ukrainians forced out of their homes. But here, war is never far. Their task is to make postcards to send to frontline troops. Salma Abdelaziz shows the messages displaced children made for Ukrainian soldiers.
This is art therapy for the youngest forced out of their homes. Today's task is to make postcards for good luck to keep the frontline troops safe. For 9-year-old Vlad, the escape from Kyiv was terrifying. I saw rockets flying and guns, he tells me, and there was a crushed tank right in front of our house. This is his message to Ukraine's defenders. I wake up every day wishing for peace, he reads. Please protect us. Misha loves drawing the faces of his country's poets and warriors.
Why do you like to draw portraits?
Because they look beautiful, he says, and they're not too difficult for me. I have drawn a famous Ukrainian Cossack, he says. I think he will protect the troops. Halfway through class, an air raid siren sounds. The children head into the basement, draw by torchlight, and sing the national anthem to pass the time. Childhood should not look like this. Back in the classroom, we meet Snezhana and Kavitka. They only met 2 days ago, but they're already inseparable.
Why did you become best friends?
We both love anime, she tells me, so we became very close. 13-year-old Snezhana is from Kharkiv, hard hit by Russian bombardment.
I want to tell that my country is in bad time. Tons of houses are broken now.
When you're drawing, does it make you feel calmer?
Yes. Think about good things, about perfect life.
An entire generation of children desperately trying to cling to their lives before war.
That is a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door when we return. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Freeman Health System donating money to collaborative program designed to help the community. On Tuesday, the health system presented a check for $225,000 to One Joplin. Multiple local organizations are part of this program, working to meet community needs, and those include health, opioid education, domestic violence response, and homelessness prevention. The $225,000 donation broken up into yearly installments of $75,000 over 3 years. Newton County dispatch officials say new improvements should provide more reliable 911 response. Dispatchers have new consoles with more space, a new old landline system to replace one that was prone to break down, and also adding another member to the dispatch team. The improvements funded by the public safety tax that was passed in August of 2020. Kansas Leadership Tour making a stop in Joplin, part of the Kansas Leadership Organization's 2-week listening tour. Has stops in Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, even Nebraska. Tour organizers hoping to strengthen support for entrepreneurs as the Kansas Leadership Center is headquartered in Wichita. And on Tuesday, aspiring scientists showcased their latest experiments as Missouri Southern hosted its annual Regional Science Fair. This is for middle and high school students from surrounding counties in both Missouri and Kansas. Categories included behavioral and social sciences, microbiology, chemistry, and computer science. Awards handed out for the winners, some of those including cash prizes. That is a check at today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. And when you do not go anywhere without the umbrella, as the rain will continue to come down for the rest of the morning, even into the afternoon hours. As Future Track shows us, the heavy rain may depart out to the east, but we're already in excess of 1.5 inches in some places, so let's anticipate flooding as our temperatures continue to drop down to the 30s overnight. We'll be back with more KOM Morning News right after this. Final preps underway for what's billed as the largest event in fishing history. Bass Pro's 50th anniversary World's Fishing Fair gets underway in Springfield. Joe Hickman, I haven't seen him in a long time, previews what's going to be a busy time of fishing and traffic jams.
Bass Pro Shops and Johnny Morris sure know how to throw a hoop-de-doo. We know that much for sure.
Johnny Morris is known for putting on big hoop-de-doos, but this could be his biggest. The 1988 fishing fair drew over 250,000 people, and this one could draw twice that many. And in preparing for the event, Springfield Public Works Coordinator Joe Hamp said of the city's approach,
So we want to deal with this like we would approach like a professional sporting event.
From the outside, you'll notice signs warning you of road closures coming up on Wednesday in and around Bass Pro, and you'll see a lot of tents in the main parking lot. So parking for customers has already been moved across Campbell Avenue, and the crosswalk traffic has already picked up, with some people already crossing when the light is green. That could be a problem with thousands of people. Inside the venue, hundreds of vendors and crews are gliding past the smiling, curious onlookers, setting up for the event. You'll see everything from golf balls to duct tape, tons of equipment, plants, styrofoam rocks, recreations of a pond, rides for the children, and did we mention lots and lots of duct tape and toolboxes? It's thousands of hours of work to celebrate Bass Pro's 50th anniversary, but also to spotlight one of the things nearest and dearest to Johnny Morris's heart, conservation.
50% of the proceeds from all sales are going to go to directly benefit conservation initiatives. And actually, if you buy a local ticket sales, 100% of those proceeds are going to benefit conservation.
And among the many activities planned over the 5-day event,
amazing educational seminars from fishing legends like Bill Dance, Jimmy Houston, Roland Martin. They'll also see NASCAR stars in attendance. And into the evening, we're hosting concerts for conservation where we'll have country music superstars including Luke Combs, Luke Bryan, and so many others.
If you go, make sure you take a trip to the basement. That's where they have the Hall of Fame. Some of the coolest artifacts down there, no matter what you're looking for, including rod and reel used by legendary baseball player Ted Williams. Complete, actually, with a cutout of Ted and him holding that. Ted Williams, not only the Baseball Hall of Fame, but also the Fishing Hall of Fame as well. Bass Pro is going to shuttle attendees from several parking lots, some more than 3 miles from the flagship store, so you're going to want to check out those locations online. We're going to come back, take a final look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker. A final look, at least this hour, when we return. Rain keeps on coming down. Thunderstorms filling our Wednesday morning. Now the heaviest rain has shifted a little bit to the east right there to go along with the lightning, but now we're starting to pick back up in northeast Oklahoma, specifically in Ottawa County and in Delaware County as that thing creeps toward the Missouri state line. Along and south of I-44 in excess of 1.5 inches of rain. Also, even though our north has calmed down, already 1.3 inches, so flooding going to be a concern before the end of the day, and back right after this. Coming up, Bourbon County officials determine the fate of the Old Mercy Hospital. Thunderstorms filling the Wednesday morning skies. We're a long way from being over. We'll break down our watches, warnings, and advisories from the Skywatch Weather Center. And Missouri Southern hosting MOSO to discuss new activities and programs coming to campus.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the KOAM Morning News where it's 6 o'clock. I'm Michael Hayslip. Been a long night of severe weather ranging from Tuesday when it started and still ongoing right now. Here's a current look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker. The radar indicating the heaviest of the rain, pushing a little bit off to our east, but now we're starting to reload with some yellow patches, and that's going to be, of course, more intense. Go from green to yellow to orange to red, and so there we go, just south of Miami and then into Jay, crossing the state lines of Arkansas into southwest Missouri and Mack County. Little pocket in between Joplin and Neosho as well. When we've already seen in excess of 1 inch of rainfall along and south of I-44. Let's run up to Nevada, almost up by Hume, for those of you that were up there yesterday. Getting some good rainfall as well. If you get up to the north and out to the west, probably just about done for the morning. But for those of you in the south and on the east, we've still got all this to come right here as it makes its way out of Texas, right along the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line, and then heads toward us. We have been able to lift our tornado watch that we had for Ottawa and Delaware County. We still do have one in effect for Benton County up until 7 o'clock this morning. Now, this just popping up. Now, granted, this is south of Fort Scott, but that red right there, and this is what we'll watch as it creeps along the state line. That is another tornado warning that has popped up. That is for LaFleur County in southeastern Oklahoma. And we can put the radar on there, kind of see where that storm system mimics that a little bit right there along that red. So that's what we'll watch as that progresses up to the north. Temperatures, they're going to fall today. Right now it's still not too bad. We haven't seen a drastic change, but know that everything up to the northwest that's already slipped into the 50s, that's exactly where everybody else is headed. So we've got that 10-degree gap right now, 51 in Yates Center compared to 61 in Cassville. So down we go throughout the morning. Rain going to hang on, even though it lessens in intensity. It is going to hang on into the afternoon hours. A single vehicle crash claims the life of a Knoll, Missouri man. Happened on Missouri 90, about 2 miles east of Southwest City. Troopers say 30-year-old Pedro Maldonado Carrillo drove a car that went off the road and overturned. Maldonado Carrillo died at the scene. Joplin police are looking for a suspect who robbed the Eagle Stop convenience store at gunpoint. Happened 2 days ago, just after 10 p.m. Police say the suspect went up to the store employee, showed a handgun, then demanded money from the register and ran. No one was hurt in the incident. Newton County Dispatch Department officials say new improvements should provide more reliable 911 response. Dispatchers now have new consoles with more space and replaced an old landline system that was prone to break down.
The 911 service that we're receiving is top notch. We have better communications now with between dispatch and our officers, and better communications between the other agencies. So it's a great benefit.
Newton County also plans to add another member to the dispatch team. These improvements funded by the public safety tax that was passed in August of 2020. 4 state elections 1 week away. That'll include several tax issues, including school bonds. Southwest R5 School District in Berry County, Missouri, asking voters to approve a bond worth $2 million. It's a bond that would fund the construction of a trap shooting range and a baseball and softball complex, have press box, restrooms, and a concession stand. If approved, the district's debt service levy would stay at the current rate.
Right now, the facilities that we play baseball and softball in are many years old. I couldn't even tell you. I know the baseball field is the same field that when I was in school here 30 plus years ago was in existence.
Officials say if there are any leftover funds, those would be used to repair and update existing facilities. On Tuesday, Missouri Southern faculty and staff got together for what's called a MOSO Connect event, a chance for university employees to gather, have some lunch, and learn about new programs and activities coming to campus. Tuesday's event focused on recreational services as students from the eSports Club provided a gaming demonstration.
Enter some tournaments, maybe win some money for the college and the group. So it's something that kids are already doing. Why would we not have a place here for them to do it on campus? Another way to connect with them on campus and help them be more successful.
Officials say the eSports program really ramps up in mid to late April. Kansas Leadership Tour made a stop in Joplin on Tuesday, part of the Kansas Leadership Organization's 2-week listening tour. They're going to take stops in Kansas, Iowa, of course Missouri, since they were in Joplin, and as well as Nebraska. Tour organizers hope to strengthen support specifically for entrepreneurs.
On the Missouri leg of a 4-state tour, thinking and talking with folks about community, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurial ecosystems.
Kansas Leadership Center headquartered in Wichita. On Tuesday, Bourbon County commissioners met with Noble Health to discuss a feasibility study as they consider the future of the Old Mercy Hospital building that closed in 2018. Noble representatives presented a summary of key findings from that study, although the study is not finished. Building currently belongs to the county. Once the study is finished, county officials will have a better understanding of the cost to operate it. In Missouri, Noble Health has ceased all operations at 2 of its hospitals. Noble Health was not available for comment after the meeting.
Well, there is no relation to Kansas. What's going on in Missouri is happening in Missouri. That's a completely different hospital system, a completely different issue. Has nothing to do with what's going on in Kansas and vice versa.
Study is expected to be completed in 4 to 6 weeks. Today in 1855, violence disrupts the first Kansas election. This is back when Kansas was still a territory, and the state held its first election in 1855. Did not happen easily, as Kansas was a fought-over territory for both pro- and anti-slavery. Some 5,000 so-called border ruffians invaded the territory from western Missouri to force the election of pro-slavery legislature via violence. Despite the number of votes cast exceeding the number of eligible voters in the territory, Kansas Governor Andrew Reeder reluctantly approved the election to prevent further bloodshed from happening. For those of you that may be familiar with the story, and for those of you that are not, it's always interesting to go back and we look at our 2 state universities there, and that's exactly how they both came about their nicknames as far as the Kansas Jayhawks and the Missouri Tigers. Skywatch Storm Tracker, rain continuing to come down. We haven't had any flood watches pop up as of yet, but since we've got a long way to go here, I'm going to be really surprised if we don't end up with something here by the end of the day. We've got all that still come off the Red River and head toward us, already in between 1.3 to 1.5 inches, whether it be along and south of I-44 or up to the north. The central portion of the 4 states actually got the least amount of rain. Here we are with our watches and warnings. Still have that tornado watch indicated in yellow for Benton County in northwest Arkansas. Temperatures beginning to drop now as well. While we were holding around the 60s for most of the morning, we're now seeing about a 10-degree difference up in the far northwest. where Yates Center and Iola are already down, working their way into the low 50s. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOM Morning News, President Biden signs into law a bill making lynching a federal hate crime for the first time in history. Plus, farmers in the Midwest feeling the woe of supply chain issues. And with the eventful night of Oscars, it brought alopecia into the spotlight. We're going to have what the disease is and how it's treated as you're watching the KOM Morning News. More real news in the morning, and we'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, spring planting for farmers in the upper Midwest fast approaching, and they're hoping for better weather after last year's drought. But as some get ready, they're finding equipment hard to come by. John Lawrenson with the story.
Just, last week we had another inch of rain here and stuff, so hopefully things are looking up for this year.
As a farmer near Howard Lake, Dave Marquardt knows he can't control the weather, but he can control how he gets ready for spring planting. But what he and others are finding out is that even the most prepared farmers are impacted by supply issues. This year, things like new skid loaders and tractors are harder to come by.
I have several neighbors who ordered a new corn planter to use this spring and stuff like that. And at this point, they don't even think they're going to get that. I never have had, never seen anything like this.
It's full force right now.
It's also a first for Dave Satterbach.
We are getting that product, we're just not getting it as fast as we want.
Satterbach is a manager at Midwest Machinery. He says equipment is still coming in, and in some cases, it's just a day or two behind. But for other things, like hydraulic filters, it can take months.
It's just some of that just oddball stuff where you'd think you'd have a lot of it, and that's the stuff that's it's a struggle to get.
The supply issues also extend from farm equipment to lawn care.
Normally, Midwest Machinery would have about 100 lawnmowers on hand, but right now they only have about 40. And when these run out, they could be hard to replace.
Still, even with delays, Satterbach says they're able to get people what they need, and they'll continue to make do with what they have.
We just ask for patience, and everyone's been okay with that so far, so everyone gets the struggle.
Police in Chicago arrest a man spotted running on the tarmac at Midway Airport. Police say 33-year-old hopped a barbed wire fence to get onto the runway, also took off his clothes, climbed on the wing of a plane. Witnesses say he appeared drunk. After being arrested, man was taken to the hospital for minor injuries. Charges against him are pending. Needless to say, it's an incident under investigation. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones is dropping his effort to keep a paternity lawsuit out of the news and instead going on the offensive. Jones is moving to have the suit dismissed. To that end, his legal team withdrew its request for a hearing to discuss sealing the lawsuit. This was brought about by a woman named Alexandra Davis. She says Jerry Jones is her biological father. Jones's legal team also says that their client, Jerry Jones, was a victim of attempted extortion. They accused Davis of offering to, quote, make a deal with Jones before filing the suit. Jones's lawyers say the attempted extortion will be the subject of a forthcoming or already filed litigation. Davis's attorney told the Dallas Morning News that Davis never demanded money from Jones regarding her lawsuit. That is a look at today's top national news stories. We'll be back with more KOM Morning News right after this. Just about 6:17, weather on the 7s. That range continues to keep on coming down, especially south of I-44. Lightning and that elongated north-south band has moved out to the east of us, but we're a long way from being over here. Give you kind of an overview without the cloud cover, where especially for Delaware County up through Benton County and then McDonald County and Berry County, seeing the hardest of the rain right now. Watches and warnings include that yellow for Benton County. That is a tornado watch until 7 o'clock. This new one that popped up along I-44 that you see there in the orange, that's in Webster County, just on the east side of Springfield. Severe thunderstorm warning. And also, too, we started tracking this down here as it's now crossed the Arkansas state line. It's still south of Fort Smith, but I want to point out that that is a tornado warning. And so what we'll kind of do is go back here and do the outline and give you an idea where that red for the tornado warning is. And you've got the tornado watches certainly in there that run up through our neck of the woods as well. But remember, that red's tornado warning. So kind of watching that because it's got northerly movement to it, but it's also pushing off to the east. So our goal is that thing will just keep on moving to the east. No flood warnings or watches yet. That is subject to change because our rain certainly a long way from being over, even though it lessens as we get into the later morning, early afternoon hours. Big difference in temperatures. Look up to the northwest. That's that cold front that we knew was moving in. And once you begin to dry out and the rain stops in your area, which we're seeing right now to the north and of the west, then the temperatures drop. And that's why we've got a 10-degree difference there. 51 in Yates Center, 61 in both Joplin and in Cassville. Everybody else high 50s, low 60s. But the temperatures just going to keep on dropping throughout the afternoon to the tune of 40s during the afternoon, evening, 30s overnight. You get a chance to stabilize a little bit there on Thursday. Additional rainfall coming our way Friday into Saturday. For the first time in United States history, lynching is now a federal hate crime. President Biden and Vice President Harris holding an event in the White House Rose Garden yesterday, highlighting the importance of the new law. Michael George has the story. He's in New York.
With the stroke of a pen, President Biden signed into law a bill making lynching a federal hate crime.
The law is not just about the past, it's about the present and our future as well.
The legislation was named after 14-year-old Emmett Till, who was kidnapped, tortured, and killed in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of whistling at a white woman. The case was a catalyst for the civil rights movement, but an all-white jury ultimately acquitted the two white men accused of Till's murder.
The victims of lynching and their families and all of our society deserve that we recognize the crimes and the injustice.
More than 200 similar bills to outlaw lynching have previously failed in Congress. Under the new act, those who carry out hate crimes could face up to 30 years in prison.
I am elated.
Democratic Congressman Bobby Rush of Illinois, who sponsored the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, says it's needed now more than ever.
After 100 years, over 200 attempts, we're finally making lynching a criminal act.
Earlier this year, the three white men convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery were found guilty of federal hate crimes. They received life sentences at the state level for targeting the 25-year-old jogger. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
FBI says the total number of hate crimes nationwide has increased every year but once since 2014. Be back with Health Watch right after this. Topping Health Watch this morning, it was a shocking moment in Oscars history. Had Judd Apatow clutching his pearls. People were still talking about it. Will Smith's onstage slap after a joke was made about Jada Smith, his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. She posted on Instagram, "This is a season for healing and I'm here for it." Controversy is also bringing attention to a condition which millions of Americans struggle with. It's called alopecia. Mandy Gaither with more on the disease and what's known about it.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it.
A joke, a slap, and an unexpected spotlight now shining on a common autoimmune disease.
Y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia.
Actress Jada Pinkett Smith revealed her diagnosis in 2018. The condition results in the loss of hair.
It's estimated that about 200,000 Americans are affected by alopecia areata every year.
Dr. Alok Vij, a dermatologist with Cleveland Clinic, says alopecia typically starts before the age of 30, but can also begin later and starts with a small patch or clump of hair falling out.
There are very few cases where your hair can actually turn white as a sign that there's inflammation going on before you actually lose hair. But more commonly, you just notice that your hair just falls out in a small area.
If you lose a clump of hair, go see your doctor. It could be alopecia or maybe a sign of another illness.
Autoimmune problems run together commonly. So we often will test for vitamin D deficiency or thyroid levels to make sure that we're not missing something else.
There's no cure, and treatments vary based on the severity of the condition. For mild alopecia, topical steroids or medications may be used. For more severe cases,
there are a number of other treatments that we have available, all designed to tease the immune system to work a little bit differently and stop attacking the hair follicle.
Doctor says when it comes to alopecia, it's important to address the emotional toll that the condition can take on patients who suffer from it. Sometimes talking about the condition with family, friends, or even a professional counselor can help boost a patient's self-image. A large Japanese study finds moderate to vigorous physical activity may reduce the risk of disabling dementia in men. Study tracked nearly 44,000 older adults with follow-ups after a decade. However, researchers did not find the same benefits for women. Treating depressed teenagers for substance abuse can help with symptoms of depression. That's according to a new study from Duke University. Researchers say teenagers who drink alcohol or use cannabis tend to have longer episodes of depression and at an increased risk for suicidal behavior. And a Spanish study finds prescribed caffeine consumption can increase attention and memory retention, especially in people with ADD or ADHD. Researchers caution, though, too soon to say if caffeine could be helpful to people showing extra hyperactive or impulsive symptoms. That's a look at some of today's health stories. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Coming up, Bourbon County officials determine the fate of the Old Mercy Hospital. We're quite a ways until our thunderstorms are done for Wednesday. We're going to have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center. And Missouri Southern hosts a MoSo Connect event discussing new activities and programs on their way to campus.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. We're at 6:28. I'm Michael Hayslip. We're going to get to those stories and so much more. But first, oh my, it's been an eventful night, an early morning of thunderstorm activity across the 4 states. And now we're really seeing the heavy rain begin to pick up once again, especially for our southern counties, down through McDonald County, a little portion of Ottawa and Delaware as well. We got Berry County in there. Look at that around Pineville. Like I said, that's when you see the orange into the red, that's where it's absolutely pouring. The majority of the lightning staying off to our east right now. What we can do, though, is let's take a look at some of our accumulation numbers that we've picked up. And like I said, we've got a ways to go. When you see that brighter green, we're talking about 1.3 inches. And then, even though the rain is mostly done for the north and the western parts of the 4 states, you see that those numbers are not too shabby either. 1.8 inches out there in Greenwood County. Here's a look at our current watches, warnings, and advisories, as we do have the tornado watch in effect for Benton County in northwest Arkansas until 7 o'clock. Also of note, if you're just joining us or maybe you're tracking this along with me here, we're paying attention to this tornado warning that's down along the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line. That tornado warning lasting until 7 as well. And the reason we're watching this thing is because as it tracks up the state line, we want to keep an eye on it and make sure that it pushes off to the east and doesn't take more of a northerly track. Right now, that storm system is pushing northeast, trying to stay out of our way. But here's an idea of why we're not done, because even though it does have easterly flow, we got a ways for it to finish off there in Texas. You'll also notice up to the northwest, much cooler temperatures. So while the rain sticks around to this afternoon, Yates Center and Iola have now fallen into the 40s. When we started the show, they were around 61 degrees. So when the cold front does arrive, it drops relatively quickly to the point where we'll all be in the 40s for this afternoon and then dropping back down to the 30s overnight into Thursday. Yesterday, Missouri Southern faculty and staff gathered for a MoSo Connect event. This is a chance for university employees to gather, have some lunch, and also learn about new programs and activities coming to campus. Tuesday's event focused on recreational services, with students from the eSports Club providing a gaming demonstration.
Enter some tournaments, maybe win some money for the college and the group. So it's something that kids are already doing. Why would we not have a place here for them to do it on campus? Another way to connect with them on campus and help them be more successful.
Southern says its esports program really ramps up in mid to late April. On Tuesday, aspiring scientists showcased their latest experiment as Southern hosted its annual Regional Science Fair. This is for middle and high school students from surrounding counties in both Missouri and Kansas. Categories included behavioral and social sciences, microbiology, chemistry, computer science, and a number of others as well.
I think that's really interesting and fascinating because we can not only learn, gain insights on our own project, but also learn about the research that other students are doing in the local area. And I think that's really fascinating, and we can also make friends along the way.
Some of the awards for the winners included some cash prizes. Those same winners also eligible to participate in the Missouri state competition next month. A Kansas-based group made the trip across state lines to Joplin as part of a listening tour. It's the Kansas Leadership Center, a nonprofit organization helping communities build leadership skills. They discuss building healthy entrepreneurial ecosystems and improving civic engagement.
It's a listening tour from about 22 communities so that we can gather information, do a lot of listening, a lot of learning, and then take that to the next phase.
Group's going to pile up the mileage as they're traveling not only to Missouri, but also Iowa and Nebraska to talk with residents as part of the Heartland Together tour that lasts until April 5th. Freeman Health System donating money to a collaborative program designed to help the community as the health system presented a check for $225,000 to One Joplin. Multiple local organizations are part of the program working to meet community needs, and those include health, opioid education, domestic violence response, and homelessness prevention.
So we typically come together and say, what resources can we share? And oftentimes it may require applying for a grant. And oftentimes those are too far out in the future to make an impact. So this funding today allows us to meet those needs and to come together and continue momentum.
$225,000 donation broken up into yearly installments of $75,000 over 3 years. Discussions for bringing a hospital to Bourbon County, Kansas continue as Noble Health presents key findings from a feasibility study. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky with more on the study's findings and how Bourbon County says a hospital could impact the area.
Bourbon County has been looking for ways to bring affordable, quality health care to the area and say they believe a community hospital is the answer they're looking for. After Mercy Hospital closed in 2018, that building has been home to Ascension Via Christi in the community clinic of Southeast Kansas.
At the end of the day, this is about the people of Bourbon County receiving the best quality and affordable health care that we can provide for them.
Now, Noble Health is looking to move in, but first, the county says they want to make sure it's feasible to support a hospital in the first place. During Tuesday's county commissioner meeting, Tom Boozer from Noble Health presented a summary of key findings from their hospital feasibility study. Boozer said during his presentation that adding a hospital could impact the county's economy, but people would need to stay in order for that to happen.
Of course, with the hospital closed, there's migration. People have to go somewhere. Before it closed, it was very substantial migration. $11 million each year leaves Bourbon County for care outside this county. It must find a way to build the trust in the community and attract people back.
Drew Solomon, president of Noble Health Real Estate, said in the meeting that it was recommended for the hospital to move forward as a 501c3.
We believe very strongly that creating a tax-exempt entity, a 501c3 entity, to potentially house a building and all the other assets would be appropriate. As with a true 501c3, they can't be controlled by a for-profit entity.
The county's executive director for economic development explains that it would allow Southeast Kansas hospitals to work together.
In a 501c model, you're able to choose who you work with and where you send your patients, who you work with certain entities. Also, we'll be able to collaborate, and allows us to collaborate with different hospitals.
When asked about the concern surrounding Noble Health hospitals closing in Missouri, he says they have no part in that.
What's going on in Missouri is happening in Missouri. That's a completely different hospital system, a completely different issue. Has nothing to do with what's going on in Kansas and vice versa.
In Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
KOAM was unable to speak with anyone from Noble Health directly. We also reached out to them after the commissioner meeting, but have yet to hear back. Today in 1981, Ronald Reagan is shot by John Hinckley Jr. The president had just finished addressing a labor meeting at the Washington Hilton Hotel when Hinckley fired 6 shots at the president. President Reagan was hit in the chest, Press Secretary James Brady in the head, and Secret Service officer Timothy McCarthy was hit in the side. D.C. police officer Thomas Delahanty, he was struck in the neck. President Reagan, unaware he had even been shot, was rushed to the hospital. It was discovered there he'd been hit by a .22 caliber bullet in his left lung that barely missed his heart. Everyone recovered but James Brady, who was left with permanent brain damage. At the trial, Hinckley's defense argued he was ill with narcissistic personality disorder, which they cited medical evidence for, and that Hinckley was obsessed with the movie Taxi Driver that led him to do what he did. Here's a look at our thunderstorm activity as the heavy rain continues to bombard portions of southwest Missouri and northwest Arkansas. As we push off to the west and the north, calms down just a little bit. But like I said, this is going to last all the way into late morning, if not early afternoon hours. Also, too, temperatures already beginning to fall, where we're down into the 40s for the northwestern sector of the 4 states. So even if in your backyard you're holding on to the high 50s, low 60s right now, please know it's just going to get colder as we progress into Wednesday evening. That is a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. As COVID levels start to fall, people pick up traveling once more, but it's going to cost you more to do so. And we meet a barber traveling to a small college town giving students free haircuts. That's part of our Something to Talk About in our morning Insta poll. We'll get those results and we'll be right back. In Consumer Watch, with most COVID restrictions lifted, millions of people looking to travel again. Oh, but it's going to cost us all a whole lot more. Danye Bacchus explains why.
Gina Kramer and her daughter Frankie flew to Southern California to visit family they weren't able to see during the pandemic.
I haven't seen my family that lived here in 3 years, 4 years, so I think so. It's going to be a family reunion of sorts.
But the trip is coming at a cost. Oil prices are making jet fuel more expensive, and that has ticket prices soaring. The average is around $311, up nearly 32% from the beginning of the year. Gina saw increases while shopping for her ticket online.
And if you missed a window, 2 days later, the prices were like $100 more.
Even with the higher prices, a new survey finds 72% of Americans plan to travel more this year. That rise in demand is pushing up prices for just about everything travel related.
Domestic bookings are surging. Hotel rates are going up, nearing 2019 levels.
CBS News senior travel advisor Peter Greenberg says national park reservations are in high demand and cruise ships are filling up as people put more importance on travel. An American Express survey found 65% of people would rather take their dream vacation than purchase a new car.
People are now valuing travel as an experience that they want to keep, and that's what they're doing.
Mother Samantha Strobel-Engler agrees.
We've missed out on so much. I think, being a parent to young kids during this time, it's like you want to give them that experience again. You want to show them the world again.
Experts say Americans who plan to travel should book quickly because it's likely rates will continue to go up. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Burbank, California.
Stocks soared Tuesday. Dow up 338 points, NASDAQ up 264, S&P 500 tack on another 56 points. Investors pleased to hear of possible progress between Ukrainian and Russian negotiators in the latest round of talks. Russia says it will pull back troops from Kyiv to establish trust, though U.S. officials are skeptical of that claim. No shortage of job openings, according to new stats from the Labor Department. 11.3 million spots to fill. That's 5 million more than the amount of unemployed people in the U.S. Data also showed that more than 4 million workers quit their jobs in February alone. More unemployment data will be released Friday with the monthly jobs report. Executives from 6 top oil companies testifying before Congress next week about rising gas prices. Hearing follows a letter the chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee sent to oil and gas companies earlier this month. In it, he expressed concerns that the industry is taking advantage of the war in Ukraine to raise prices. The heads of BP, Chevron, and ExxonMobil among those expected to attend. That is it for Consumer Watch. Let's talk about our morning Insta poll. There's a gentleman at in Iowa, and he makes a trip every other week to make sure that students at this small college get a haircut. And he does so for free because he realizes it's tough to find a barber experienced in cutting black hair in that community. And once again, he shows up, performs a service at no cost for them. So our question for you this morning is, how often do you get your haircut? Right now, we've seen a big flip right now. Now it's up to 47% say once a month. Earlier, it was 43% at every 6 months. Now we're rocking 47% at once a month. 20% of you keeping it really tight every 2 weeks, and 25% still saying once every 6 months. Appreciate everybody's engagement. Remember, each and every morning, there it is right there, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page. We're going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, off to the Big Apple. Here's Tony.
Hey, I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, Trinity Rodman is helping level the playing field for women's soccer. How the daughter of Basketball Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman is quickly becoming her league's biggest star. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor this morning's four-state hero. Captain Chad Murrow served in the United States Army from January of 2005 to November of 2005. He participated in Operation Iraqi Freedom, a part of the 891st Engineer Battalion, earning 2 Army Commendation Medals and several other honors during his service. A native of Uniontown, Kansas, we salute you, this morning's four-state hero, Captain Chad Murrow. Let's transition over to the birthday list. If that smile doesn't make your Wednesday morning right there, I really cannot help you, because that is absolutely adorable from Kaya Edwards, who is celebrating the big number 5. And Kaya, these birthday wishes come with love from Opa, Mimi, and Sophie. Bill, did you have great names for your grandparents? Our chief engineer, Bill Vickery, joining me in studio. Did you have like any names that you used for your grandparents? Okay, yeah, Bill says they got them. Okay. Cash Collins, straight cash, the big number 11. That's Cash on the left right there. And Cash, I want you to know that these birthday wishes come with love from Grandpa Gary. I bet you that might be Grandpa Gary there on the right. That's pretty cool picture right there. I really like that, Cash. Kinley Sinclair, she is celebrating her 12th birthday. How cool is that? Clay all day. We got big Clay Thompson fan on our hands. Kinley, man, I tell you what, I hope that Clay's return this year and the way that he's been able to effortlessly pick back up and gonna go down as one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen. And I'm so happy that he's back on the court. I'm so happy that you can celebrate your birthday with a little Golden State basketball. It's a cool picture right there, kiddo. She's turning 12. Now, Kinley resides in Webb City. She is actually not on the West Coast, but she's a Golden State fan. Avery Harrison, how about a sweet 16th birthday? I have fallen in love with the birthday balloons and the trend that this has become. That is perfect, Avery, and congratulations on your 16th birthday. Time to make the trip to the DMV as she celebrates in Pittsburgh. Wayne York in Columbus, he is celebrating his 24th birthday. Just so happens that Wayne is the younger brother of our own graphic artist, Will York. So, Will, thank you for making your brother's birthday picture right there. And a very happy birthday to you, Wayne. In CJ, we got a milestone, Hillary Maloney. She is celebrating her 30th birthday. Miss Hillary, I want you to have a marvelous, marvelous birthday today. And in Carthage, Candace Kell is celebrating her 34th birthday. Now, here's the great thing about it. No matter how old you get, you still get birthday wishes from the family. And Candace, I want you to know that this birthday wish comes with love from Grammy. Kenneth Morris, he is from Yates Center. Now, Mr. Morris is currently stationed in Texas. So I want long-distance birthday wishes going out to Kenneth Morris. He's also one of our four-state heroes right there. And so, Morris family, if you have a chance to pass that along, we greatly appreciate it. And tell him thank you for your service and a very happy birthday as well. Ethel May Housel is celebrating her 43rd birthday. Ethel May, a beautiful name right there. I love that. She is in Cherryvale. And Joel Miller with a 45th birthday, United States Army dad. That's another great picture right there. We are, can't tell what football field we're at. I think that's, I want to say it's probably Webb. I'm going to get it wrong. If I get it wrong, I'm going to get a lot of people mad at me, so it might not be. Anyway, Joel, it's Seneca. He's in Seneca. Little Indian pride right there. Happy birthday, Joel, and I love that picture. And know that these wishes come with happy birthday from your entire family. Mike Bogle, he has a specific 70th birthday wish. and I'm going to give you a wild guess at what it is coming up this weekend. Mike wants a KU championship for his 70th birthday. I don't know if that's his granddaughter or what, but I love the fact that Mike was like, I'm going to photobomb this no matter what's going on. Mike, best of luck to you over the weekend, watching your Jayhawks, and a very happy birthday to you. Mike's in Chanute, by the way. Sharon Mapes celebrating a birthday in Arcadia. And on Sharon's birthday, we also celebrate Ariel Mapes. That happens to be Sharon's granddaughter. She is 23, so how special that Sharon and Ariel get to share that together. Sharon's in Arcadia and Ariel in Franklin. Pam Kelly, I'm gonna give you a screen all to yourself, Miss Pam. I want you to have a marvelous birthday as she celebrates in Miami. A happy birthday, happy anniversary to all. This is where you can send them into birthdays at KOAMTV.com or hit us up on the website, KOAMNewsNow.com. And of course, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to that said website and signing up. We got some great deals from 4-state businesses. KOAMNewsNow.com. Sign up for that KOAM Birthday Club today. Coming up when we transition to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, someone wants a pink flamingo. Because you see, 17 years ago, a flamingo named Pink Floyd escaped from a zoo. Not just any zoo. The pink flamingo was at a Kansas zoo. Well, evidently it was found. We'll find out where he ended up when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be back. One final look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker when we return right after this. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Freeman Health System donating money to a collaborative program designed to help the community, as Freeman presented a check for $225,000 to One Joplin. Multiple local organizations are part of this program. Works to meet community needs that include health, opioid education, domestic violence response, and homelessness prevention. The $225,000 donation broken up into yearly installments of $75,000 for 3 years. In Newton County, Missouri, dispatch officials say new improvements should provide more reliable 911 response. Dispatchers now have new consoles with more space and a new old landline system to replace one that was prone to breaking down. Here's great news. They also plan to add another member to the dispatch team. Improvements are funded by the public safety tax passed in August of 2020. Kansas Leadership Tour, crossing state lines and making a stop in Joplin, part of the Kansas Leadership Organization's 2-week listening tour with stops in Kansas, Iowa, Missouri, and Nebraska. Tour organizers hoping to strengthen support specifically for entrepreneurs as the Kansas Leadership Center, headquartered in Wichita. And aspiring scientists showcase their latest experiments at Missouri Southern. MOSO hosted its annual regional science fairs for middle and high school students from surrounding counties in both Missouri and Kansas. Categories included behavioral and social sciences, microbiology, chemistry, and computer science. Awards were handed out for the winners, and some of those included cash prizes. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. And when you do, not only an umbrella, but also a coat. Because number one, we've got to fight the heavy rain, especially along the I-44 corridor. Starting to see some pour into Cherokee and work its way into Jasper as well, and then still dominating south of I-44. We're good up to the west and up to the north, actually getting a little bit of a break right now. But speaking of the north and the west, that is exactly where we're seeing the temperatures drop as well. Remember, we've got a tornado watch for Benton County that was in effect until 7 o'clock this morning. Look at that big difference, 46 up in the northwest compared to 58 down in Cashville. We do have a tornado watch in effect for Benton County specifically until 7 a.m. So flip on over with us on Fox 14 and we'll have the latest, see if we can actually get that thing to expire. That wraps it up for this Wednesday. Do me a favor, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will see you again at noon.